Hi, I'm Frankie. Welcome to Business on the Rise. This podcast is your playbook to learn everything you need to know to launch, grow, and fund your brand. I'm excited to kickstart our first episode with one of my favorite entrepreneurs, Kim, founder of COCOdry and co-founder of Peachy Projects. I'm inspired by Kim's dual ability to be this innovative entrepreneur, but at the same time to be so grounded, humble, and be so human. In this episode, we'll be talking about what it's like to start your business from scratch. We will talk about some of the challenges, some of the triumphs, and even going all the way and making it to the front cover of Forbes magazine. Let's get this started. Kim May Real. That's your Instagram name.
That's right. Trying to keeping it real. Get
That's
it?
Right. Welcome. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to talk to you.
Oh, good. And I am very excited to speak to you because for those of you listening in, I think Kim is one of the most humble and genuine, grounded, hardworking entrepreneur I've met so far here.
Oh my God.
And I just feel very, very comfortable with you. And I think we have some similarities in a way.
Definitely.
I think because we're both hippies at heart, but we live in a city.
Yes, exactly.
But I think
conflict
at some point,
of interest.
Yes, that's right. So Kim, for our audience, please tell us who you are and what you do and how you do it and still look good. COCOdry and then now Peachy Projects.
Yes.
Take us through it.
Wow, like where do I even begin? Hi guys, my name is Kim. I'm the founder of COCOdry and co-founder of Peachy Projects. Where do I even begin? I think my entrepreneurship started at the age of 26.
Mm-hmm.
I think I was really naive and innocent. And it was with the girl boss wave, and I was, oh my God, like, it just seems so cool, to be a girl boss. I read the book by Sophia Marisol.
Mm-hmm.
I watched the movie.
Yeah.
I felt so inspired. I want to change the world too, not knowing what I was signing myself up for, which was a good thing because if I knew how hard it was gonna be, things would have changed from the very beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's how I started.
But you weren't an entrepreneur straight away. You came from an agency,
Yes.
an advertising agency.
Yes, that's
How
right.
was that? And what did you take from being in corporate and from that agency? I'm sure that sort of helped you. Some of the things that you've learned from there, you've applied in your business. Is that
Yes,
right?
totally.
Okay.
And I think I do feel really, really grateful that I have amazing bosses as well that taught me the fundamentals of how is it like, to be able to take care of people, to look at a big picture.
Yeah.
When I joined advertising agency, my goal was really simple. It was all about, I want to climb the career ladder as high as possible. It was so exciting, the corporate role. And also at the same time, I was very righteous. It's like, I'm right, you're wrong. I'm delivering and you're not.
Right.
So I was that girl, which got me into a lot of trouble because I was in servicing and I always get into fights with creative.
Right.
Yeah, because they were not delivering and things like that. And I told my boss, like these are the photos that I took and I just sent it to clients and clients approved them straight away.
Mm-hmm.
But my boss was like, have you ever thought of how the creatives would feel? Don't you feel like you have double-crossed them? But I was like, it's a result that matters.
Right.
Then he did tell me that. Then how is that going to look in the future? And how does that relationship help you at work? Do you think the creative is going to give you an easier time or a harder time? And that got me thinking. And he was like, sometimes you have to look at the big picture.
Yeah.
One lesson. Yeah. And the boss that taught me, his name was Andrew. So he was the CEO of Harvard at the time.
Yeah.
And I was, just felt very grateful because it's not just the knowledge at work that you have, but it's little wisdom that your boss dropped on you that makes you who you are today.
Yeah.
And another boss, Dabo, he was like, so Kim, where do you see yourself in like 5 to 10 years time? What's your dream? And I was like, oh, I want to be on a cover of Forbes magazine, Forbes 30 under 30. And it was that, entrepreneurship wave. And I was like, oh my God, it's so glamorous to be on the cover and things like that. And he's also that guy that's very, very grounded. He told me, Mark Zuckerberg didn't start a business to be on the cover.
Yes.
He was like, he started with a stronger purpose to change the world. And that's when I learned about purpose. And if you focus on doing the right thing, the good thing, the rest would come. And I felt that. And I think I experienced that as well throughout this journey.
Yeah.
And obviously, because I was also in the strat team, so I learned, to put pitch decks together and pitch to clients. And I was just so grateful for all the opportunities that was given by my boss, even though I was just a suit. But they taught me so much. And with all the things that I've learned in advertising, I took them with me to start COCOdry.
Yeah. Do you think it's a good idea for entrepreneurs to have corporate experience before they run their own business? Or do you think it's possible for entrepreneurs to just dive straight in and start a business?
I think both works for me.
Right.
Because I've seen entrepreneurs who are so successful
without the corporate experience.
Without corporate experiences.
Got it.
I've also seen entrepreneurs who have corporate experiences that started and thrive as well. So I think what Steve Jobs said is really true. Whatever it is, connect the dots.
Yeah.
And just focus on your own journey, how you started and how you got here. And then somehow everything is just linking to each other. And it may not make sense now. But 5 years later, when you look back, oh, I was meant to be in advertising.
Yeah.
Oh, I was meant to do that, to work with my dad for a year in order for me to start COCOdry. Because if I didn't, I may not understood certain struggles or gaps in the market. And maybe there was a reason why I was born as a hairstylist daughter. You get what I mean?
Yeah.
So once you connect the dots, you're like, oh, now it's all clicking. It's making sense.
Yeah.
But now if you ask me, what am I doing in my life? I don't know because I'm not connecting the dots yet.
Right.
And maybe 5 years later, I'll be like, oh, it makes sense now.
Yeah. Yeah. So your relationship with your father, him being a hairstylist for the longest time, so did he at one point inspire you to create COCOdry?
Actually, the funny thing is no. When I was young, he really wanted me to take over his business. I told him, Daddy, I'll never want to be in the hair industry. So yeah, be careful of what you put out there when you're younger.
Because you rebel, right? When you're young, you don't want to be like your parents. No, I want to be myself.
Exactly, you don't live under his shadow.
Yeah.
And I did try learning haircuts and I was holding the scissors for 1 week and my hand hurts. I was like, this is not for me. And also at the same time, I do find my dad very inspiring.
Yeah.
Because he's a high school dropout. He came from a very, very poor family where all of the family, they live in one room. He had to work at the age of 13, 14 years old?
Yeah.
High school dropped out.
Yeah.
Was trying to figure his life out. He was an electrician before and how he got electrocuted. So just telling me his stories when he was younger. And he fell in love with the hair industry.
Yeah.
And he started his first salon at the age of 19.
Wow.
Not having any sort of entrepreneurship experiences like what we have now. It's so accessible, when it comes to knowledge.
Yeah.
But my dad just had that courage and he was so adventurous. So I felt like in terms of the courage, adventurous spirit, I think I got it from my dad. And when I was young, he would be on stage, on seminars, teaching people how to, those certain cards, color and things like that. I'll always be like, oh, that's my dad. I will see him on newspaper as well, magazines.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
what's your dad's name?
Simon Kim.
Hi, Simon.
Hi, Dad.
That was very, very brave of him to do what he did back then. Not only, from an electrician going into something completely different, but also a male hairstylist. That was unusual.
Yeah.
Even now. I mean, back then it was probably a lot more unusual.
Yes.
So when did it start? When was that hunger and that drive for you? I am going into the hair industry. And yes, Dad, you are right.
Yeah. I remember after advertising, my dad called me. He's like, oh, time to come back to Penang. I need your help. When I went back and when I worked with him, it was a struggle for me. Because while he believed in me, his team was not. It's like, who is this 24-year-old girl trying to tell us what to do? She's not even a hairstylist. She doesn't have experiences in business. So I felt very stuck. I felt like I was a big fish in a small pond and I just couldn't unleash my potential. And even when I told my dad I was going to start my own thing, he was so concerned because he was like, it's not going to work. Because in the hair industry, the bread and butter comes from chemical services, which is a perming, coloring, and things like that. But because seeing how dry bar actually flourished, and I just really wanted to give it a try, and there was just a strong urge to just prove myself right for once and to show that I am actually capable and I know what I'm doing.
Did you want to prove your dad or you or people or all the above?
All of the above.
Right. Okay. Got it.
It was a hunger to like, I want to show the world what I can do. I want to live out my fullest potential. And I was just so ambitious and driven. I was reading all the motivational books. I was watching all the like movies. And after that, I decided to start just simply because I thought it was a good idea. And if it worked in US, it should work in Malaysia too. So that was the whole thought process. And when I spoke to my friends, they were like, oh, okay, I think you can do it. Are you looking for an investor? And I'm like, right. That is how I can raise funds. So that is how I started. But obviously, as I go on, when I pitched to a lot of people who are in the industry, it wasn't very supportive because they felt like it's not going to work, it's going to fail. There was similar service provider. They closed down as well. I was going to be eaten by the big fish. Because they see me as a little girl, no experiences. I had no customer base. I had no employees. I had no one, basically. I'm not from Penang.
Yeah. So a couple of questions based on what you were saying. So did you have imposter syndrome, or because you were young back then, you didn't? Because when you're young, you have so much of energy and confidence, like, yes, I want to prove the world that I can do this. So was there imposter syndrome back then? And do you still have imposter syndrome now? Secondly, it was very brave of you to start COCOdry. You were going against the grain where all the hair salons are providing, the 360 service, whereas you just did hair, wash and blow, and then styling.
Yes.
And that was
treatments.
it. Treatments, but that was it. So you're limiting your sort of demographic, your market.
Yes.
Right? And, yes, it worked in the US, but Malaysia was probably a very, very raw market, but you did it anyway. So I want to know where that exists comes from. And when you said that, you needed funding and you were asking your friends about investment, who funded your business? Did you fund it yourself? Did you raise funds from crowdfunding? Tell me.
Okay, we will start with the imposter syndrome.
Yes, please.
It's quite funny because I do think that my imposter syndrome is stronger now. As compared to how I used to feel. I think back then when I first started, it was just that goal of wanting it to succeed. I cannot fail.
You have no option.
I had no option.
But to succeed.
Exactly. Imposter syndrome grew as the business grows, and I'm like, am I good enough? Because I think it's a feeling of having something to lose right now. But back then, I had nothing to lose. Was I just lucky, or am I really that capable? And even when it comes to funds, you mentioned about getting investment. When it comes to getting investment, I was very egoistic.
Right.
My husband, then my boyfriend, he could fund me.
Okay.
He has that financial capability.
Yeah.
But because at that time, whenever we talk about any successful women, even in Malaysia as well, they will always be like, oh, just because her husband is rich. Oh, that girl anak datuk saja what. She's just lucky. Oh, she's whose daughter?
Right.
She's born rich.
Yep.
And I just felt like, why can't people just look at what a girl can do instead of just putting her under other people's shadow?
Yeah.
You get what I mean? Yes.
Absolutely.
There are a lot of people who comes from like rich family, for instance, but how many of them could actually create a business like this? And the hard work and the sweat and the effort, you cannot deny all of that. And it's always being linked to like privilege, which I do think I'm privileged in the sense that if anything fails, I still have a home to go to. You know, I'll have food on my table no matter what.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I recognize my privilege, but at the same time, but when it comes to men, for example, like you don't really say, oh, this guy, oh, he has a very supportive, smart wife that helps him get through this. Or, oh, because his family is rich. No, you don't get that. It's just that plain and simple. That guy is capable or he's too good at what he does. But it's never really linked to like external factors. So I think at that time, I wanted to be successful, but I don't want anyone to say that it is because of anyone around me. You get what I mean? But obviously, my husband did play a very, very important supportive role in my career journey. So that's when I started looking at potential investors. Right? If I don't have money, you know what? Maybe I can raise funds, which I'm so grateful that I did because it opened doors for me and met people that I never knew I would meet. And some of my investors are just the most, like the kindest, gracious people. Like one of them, her name is Doris. She even sent me to Taiwan for a course. It's not business related. She's like, Kim, you go to a lot of business course, but I think it's important to learn the fundamentals of being a human being to be good. Yeah. And I was like, okay, but I don't think I have the budget to go to Taiwan. That's why I'm here to raise funds, right? And she's like, oh, no worries, I'll cover that. When you make money, you pay me back. Yeah. You get what I mean?
Yeah, that's kind. Yeah. That's kindness that we don't really get much these days. Yes. I love that.
And she told me 3 words, pay it forward.
I love that even more.
Yes.
I love that.
So that's how I started. And really identifying the people who may be interested in your business. And she was one of them.
Yep.
She only goes to salon to wash her hair.
Right.
That's the reason why I pitched to her. Because she would believe in the idea because she goes to salon to wash her hair all the time. And second one was the people who are already in the industry.
Yep.
So one of my investors is also a beauty academy owners.
Yep.
Because then the students would study there and when they graduate, they come to us. You know, it's a whole process. So those are the people that I reached out and it took me 1 year to put everything together. Pitch deck, funding, pitching, identifying the right people, and things like that.
That's very smart. And 1 year is, you know, if you think about it, it's a long time to put everything together. And you didn't just hurry and say, I just want to get this started now. Because most entrepreneurs
I wanted to hurry,
right.
But there were so many roadblocks. Right. I couldn't help it. I wanted to give up.
Right. What were the roadblocks?
When investors withdraw money, and that really demotivates you.
Right.
I was supposed to have a partner, and when the partner pulls out, it makes me feel rejected. Like, am I not good enough? Is the business idea not good enough? You know, and you have to pick yourself back up. And I remember one of my partner pulled out. I think it was 3 days before my birthday. And I remember I didn't even want to blow the birthday cake, but my husband was like, it's okay, darling. And I still have the photo. It was me crying and I had a kid and I was just like that.
I need to see that photo.
Yeah, I'll get my husband to share over. And when I saw that, I was like, you know, you have really come so far and you actually did it.
You did. How does that make you feel looking back now, talking about it?
I think I'm very, very proud. And I was just so appreciative of the support that I had at that point of time to just get me going and didn't give up.
Yeah.
Because otherwise I wouldn't even be sitting here, you know, having this conversation.
Yeah.
So I think it's just a lot of gratitude at the same time.
That's wonderful, Kim. That's why I love speaking to you. regardless whether here in the podcast or at Bungalow 18, having a cup of coffee. So it took you a year to get everything ready, but you launched anyway.
Yeah.
And then 5 years now, you have 3 outlets.
Yes.
And you've also expanded into a social media agency, the Peachy Projects.
Yes.
So you've got basically, you've got 3 outlets and a new baby.
Yes.
And potentially a second new baby coming along.
That's right.
So I'm just scratching my head at the moment and thinking, wow, that's a lot to handle. But, I think out of all the entrepreneurs and people, I know you can do it. And I know you can do it really, really well.
Well, I love that you believe in me more than I believe in myself.
I do. So much. And you can just tell by a person how genuine they are, and your energy just exudes warmth. So for those of you listening, she just radiates this incredible warmth.
Thank you. Can you feel it?
No, I feel it. And everybody here at the studio definitely feels it. Don't you guys? Tell me about Peachy Projects. But before that, you now have 3 outlets.
Yes.
How difficult was it to sort of scale from an idea and then you launched your first baby and then now to 3? Because I feel as an entrepreneur, the hardest part about the business is not so much starting, but it's scaling.
100%.
So how did you do that? Did you have to reach out to other investors to invest in each outlet? Or was it the same initial investors that you had to expand all the 3 businesses? And then for Peachy Projects, did you also get your current COCOdry investors to invest in Peachy Projects? How did it all work?
How did it all work?
Yeah.
Individual outlets has its own investors.
Got it.
And we did it on a first come, first serve basis.
Right.
So when we opened up Publica outlet, with the track record that we have had with the first outlet, a lot of investors, they were even more keen.
Right.
So which we just made it a first come, first serve basis. But even in terms of scaling, I used to think that starting is so hard. But scaling is
another beast.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And even right now, I'm still trying to wrap my head around it. Like, okay, from 1 to 3, it takes this much. What about 3 to 5? 5 to 10?
Yeah.
You get what I mean? So even for me, like right now, I'm still trying to learn, from other people, like how they did it. And because the nature of business is very challenging in the sense that it's very, very people-oriented. When it comes to F&B, for example, it's food quality that you have to maintain. But when it comes to people, they have the highs and lows. And for most of us, I'm lucky in the sense that if I have a bad day, I will just be behind my laptop and I'll be like, but for them, no matter how hard the day is, someone passed away in the family, they still have to put up a smile
and suck it up
and just give their best service. And even when someone's pet passed away, and we did have customers that be like, why can't the pet pass away another time?
Wow.
You get what I mean? So to me, I was like, it's really not easy to be them. And they work 6 days a week in the service-based industry. Like even for me, I'm also trying to make a conscious effort to see if I could reduce it to a 5 days work week thing. So in order for us to scale, there are certain challenges because the service quality also depends on the person itself. And at the same time, we talk about career growth. How long are they going to be washing hair? Just let me put it out there. Which leads to my next step. So right now, a lot of people know COCOdry as a blow dry bar. But our 3rd outlet in Platinum Park, we will be converting into a full-fledged hair salon.
Okay.
Because simply change has to happen. And my team needs career growth. And if they don't grow here, they will grow elsewhere. So in terms of my leadership style, it's always been, if I can provide, why not? And if you outgrow me, I'll be more than happy.
Yeah.
You know, to be like, yeah, that's my girl. You know, she used to work in COCOdry and now she's thriving and things like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think it's also my responsibility as a leader to be able to provide, you know, financial growth, career growth, skill growth. Because not everyone wants to move up to the management level because they just simply love the skills so much. And how many people can you actually have in your management team? So these are all the questions that I'm also trying to answer.
Yeah. One thing that really stood out is the fact that as you grow a business, you need to learn and move with time.
Exactly.
I think that's key.
Yes.
In order to grow and keep growing. That's what I've learned anyway, that you have to move with time. You cannot be applying the same principles of what you know and how you've done things. But, you know, sometimes that's really, really difficult to jump because you're taking such a huge risk and you're going against your initial business plan, right? Your initial concept and idea and brand, which can really have, which can be very, very risky.
Yes.
But you're doing it anyway. And I love that. I love your tenacity and I love that you are able to move with time. Do you think everybody should think like that?
I think it aligns with the core value that I have in a company. One of the core values that we have is the only constant in life is change.
I love that. I absolutely love that. I think people are so afraid of change.
Yes.
I'm a huge fan of change. Huge. Because I think at this moment in time in my life, okay, I've been an entrepreneur for over 12 years now. And there comes a point to where I do feel like, is this it for me? Is this it for Franquitas and Bungalow? What else can I do? But if I'm going to scale and if I'm going to grow, really grow, I need to also shift my mindset and change. Is that where you are now?
Yes.
And are you changing a lot as a person, but also as an entrepreneur from when you started?
100%. I think when I first started, I was very myself driven, goal driven.
Yeah.
And as you grow, you just become really people driven.
Yeah.
So the decision that I make ultimately is for my people.
Yeah, I love that.
And when we talk about values, my team did ask me, in Chinese, we call it 初心. 初心, it means your beginning, how you started. Do you think that you are forgetting why you started because the business model changed? Then what I answered her was, no, it has always been about growing people. It's the people that matters.
Yeah.
And I felt like it aligns with my value because more good comes out of it, comes out of the decision, even though the business model is dead. You get what I mean? But people are the ones that are leaving.
Yeah.
They are the ones that are growing with you. Your company stops growing when your people stops growing with you.
Yeah.
So I think with that clarity, even though honestly to me, I was very reluctant because I was like, oh, is it like back to square one? I told my dad I didn't want to start a hair salon. And now I am going to run a full-fledged hair salon. That honestly scares me. Because I'm like, oh shit, like back to square one. What if this is not the right decision? How? But I try to realign myself with my values and my purpose and the people, knowing that the good outweighs my fear.
Got it. I love that.
Yeah.
The benefit outweighs the risk and your fear.
Exactly.
Love it. In 5 years, have you had any like aha moments? Is it just one, or have you had a few aha moments like where you're like, this is it? I mean, this could be it, right? You know, the Platinum Mall business model. Do you think that's a aha moment?
I have had many aha moments in my life.
Okay.
But most of them, it's not really business related.
Okay.
It's more to personal growth. Because as you grow, your business grows as well because you start seeing things very
differently.
And it's mentally challenging because you deal with so many people every day. And yet you are questioning what kind of person do you want to become? Because the decision that you make today will determine the kind of person that you will become in the future.
Yeah.
And every time, whenever I make a decision, I will always go back to that question. And that was one of the aha moments because one of my mentors, his name is James. I felt like I was in a crossroad at one point and I just didn't know what to do. And then he asked me this question and suddenly my light bulb just ding. And I told myself, no matter what, I want to be a bigger person. And sometimes being able to give is actually such a huge blessing. So I think throughout this journey, it's not just like career growth, business growth, but I think it's just a lot of like self-realization and aha moments that makes me feel more sure of like who Kim May Chee is. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I wouldn't say things like that 5 years ago. I'll be like, oh, you know, like too wise or like, oh, so weird. But I'm just shifting towards into becoming this person, which I'm also like, who's this?
Are you liking this person?
Do
you like yourself, Kim?
I do love myself very much.
You do. Good.
But at the same time, I'm also trying to understand the change and where it is going and just let it flow because change is not easy. How can you be this person and suddenly you change into becoming this person and it feels a little bit weird, but you know that you're moving towards the right path. But maybe because I just don't have that now it makes sense. Like I mentioned to you, maybe in 2 years' time, I'll be like, oh, that's the reason why the universe is guiding me into becoming this person through these challenges and experiences. Because at the end of the day, no matter what life throws at you, no matter what people tell you, the advices that you seek, the choice is still in your hands. You are in charge of your own life. You determine who you want to be. You align with your own values.
Yeah. So with that note, how do you juggle between your personal life and your business? Because that's very, very difficult sometimes as a woman and more so as a mother, right? You have so many hats and you're juggling so many different things. And sometimes that can be very, very much overwhelming. I certainly get very, very, very overwhelmed to the point where I'm like, is this worth it?
Yeah.
And I feel sometimes certain things get compromised. Your personal life gets compromised. Your business gets compromised because you make other decisions. And how do you feel about all of this now that you are a mother and you've got 3 outlets and peachy projects? Do you think, what do you think your biggest challenge will be? Number 1. Number 2, do you also think that some things got to give? Are there compromises we or you are going to have to make in order to make it all work?
There will definitely be a lot of compromises, at least for me. But one thing that I've learned is accepting things as they are. You know, don't be too hard on yourself. Don't try to change things that you can't change. But the moment when you start accepting, it will just flow. And knowing what to prioritize, knowing when to say yes, knowing when to say no, aligning with your values. Because the truth is everyone has 24 hours a day. And you get to choose how you would like to spend the 24 hours based on who you are as a person. You know, there are moms out there who works more than being there for the family. And to me, it's totally fine because that aligns with her more and she could somehow find fulfillment in it. Then, you know what? Let her be. Or there are moms who just want to devote her whole life not to her children. And she feels so happy and she finds so much joy. Let her be. And for me, sometimes I'll spend more time with family because I just feel like, oh, Kobe needs me right now.
Yeah.
But at a certain time, I feel like, oh, my business needs me more. And that's when I would devote my time in business more. And there are times when I feel like, oh my gosh, like I need a break. Then I went for a retreat in Bali. So I think it's also just listening to your body and what your body needs at that particular point of time. And even people ask me, Kim, do you think that you're working a little bit too much? Like, don't you think that you're neglecting time with your son? So I think it's really, don't feel bad. What other people perceive of you do not determine who you are as a mom. You know yourself best as a mom. You know that you have given your very best. And even though you get questions sometimes, and I think you just be sure of that you know what you're doing and that it aligns with you, because to me, family gave me, a joy that I've never felt. So I don't know, like we're just like a little boy, like, oh my God, you're so cute. That kind of feeling. But when you run a business, you solve certain problems. And I just feel so fulfilling. Like I was like, oh wow, like I can do that. And when I go for a retreat, I'm just like resting, staring, at the sun and the coconut tree. I just felt so, I like this, but can I be here forever? No. Yeah.
What do you think is the best part of being an entrepreneur? And what are some of the best business decisions you've made?
The best thing about being an entrepreneur, it pushes you to your limit. It unleashes your fullest potential. You grow a lot, at least for me, I grow a lot in such a short amount of time. And sometimes I wouldn't even recognize myself. And I have to take a step back and be like, oh wow, like this is me right now. And to really soak myself in the moment. Because my friend would tell me, Kim, do you actually know how far you've come? I'm like, huh? Is it really? I honestly don't feel it. And sometimes I get so numb. You get what I mean?
I totally understand, because you're in it. You're still in the race. You're still sort of running at this race. And you can't see yourself run. Other people can.
Yes.
So, and hence why I think we're probably a lot harder on ourselves, because we can't see the race. Even when we trip so many times, you get back up. You trip again, you get back up. You can't see it. You feel it at the time. So I think that's why your friends see, like, how far you've come. And I see like 5 years, you've already done so well, Kim. So well.
Thank you.
Really amazing. So inspiring. Is there anything that you would do differently? Knowing what you know now, having the wisdom and the knowledge and the experience, any regrets in any decisions?
I don't think I have any regrets, because I honestly do think that life is kind of like a flow. There are certain lessons that you just have to learn in this lifetime.
Yeah.
And if I don't go through them, through business, I would need to go through them in other, I don't know, like aspects of life.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't change anything, because I'm just thankful for the lessons that I have learned. And I feel like everything is just meant to be, and you just gotta trust the process.
Yeah. Great way to look at it.
Yeah.
You're so wise. Why are you so bloody wise?
No, sometimes you have to be optimistic to get you going. You get what I mean?
Yeah, no, absolutely. But you're so wise. I love that you're so wise.
I have such a long way to go.
Well, you do. So my next question is, so what's next for you? I mean, I know that in your mood board, you have Richard Branson as one of your mentor, and you have the Forbes cover.
Yeah.
I mean, is that the end goal here? And why?
I think Forbes, honestly, it feels a bit different to me now as compared to in my advertising days. I just wanted to be on the cover. But I think right now it's just the intention of knowing that I have succeeded in the business role as a very reputable, inspiring business woman. And I'm being recognized for the impact that I've created. Or I think it's just, I just want to be known for the impact that I can actually give back, to the community, or even in the business industry or in women, which I really don't know. So when I look at that, it's not just the feeling, I just want to be on the cover of magazine, but I think it's more impact driven now. Like, what legacy do I want to leave behind, when I leave? And in terms of living up to my fullest potential, how does it look like? So I think that is a feeling that I associate with being on Forbes, because it's not just another magazine, it's actually a business magazine. Yeah, well, I'm very grateful for all the opportunities that I've had being on the covers of, magazines in Malaysia, like Bureau, First Class, Lifestyle Asia and all. But I do think that it's a little bit, how do I put it? Like, you really have to ground yourself and ask yourself, what's the how do I put it? To not let your ego take away what is important and what is your value and your purpose with the recognition that you are getting. And I think it's just a constant self-reminder for me as well. And even when it comes to Richard Branson, I think he's such a fun guy. He's so successful, but he's living his life to the fullest. He's so adventurous, and he's just having so much fun in life. And to me, I just want to constantly remind myself that life is not just about accomplishment and work. Like, remember to find joy in little things. Laugh as much as you can, and just have fun and enjoy the ride. So,
I think I know a reason why you resonate with Richard Branson, because I feel, right, is that he is also similar, a hippie at heart.
A hippie at heart. Yes.
I think he is a hippie at heart. I mean, he's done all the hard work. Obviously, he's done all of the things that every entrepreneur will probably go through. But because he's done that now, I think he can fulfill that hippie in him. Don't you think?
I think so. I remember telling my friend, his name is Aris, so he was one of the moderator in our Bali retreat. I was like, you're such a hippie. Yeah, but after that, I was like, I think maybe I'm a hippie at heart too, but somehow I'm just in this side of things. I'm trying to find that balance and how to do it all at the same time.
Yeah. So on our last note, health is so important.
Oh, totally.
For me, and I think I'm 45 now. When I was 44, that's when I realized, and that aha moment came. That's my aha moment, is when I started having health issues. And here I am now, 45, just a couple of months away, and really focusing and emphasizing a lot more on my health, because I feel like if I don't invest in my health now and continuously, I can't be an entrepreneur, nor can I be a mom, nor can I be a good friend, all of that. So I think it is the most important element of life and business, of course, and it's going to affect business. So how important is health to you right now? And how much time do you invest in your health and in your wellness, outside of your work, but also outside as being a mom and being a wife and a friend and a family member?
Very, very, very important.
Okay.
Because if you don't feel well, if you don't fill your own cup, how are you going to give to people around you? So to me, when it comes to personal wellness, it's not just physical wellness, it's also mental wellness. You really gotta allocate time for yourself. And I never knew how important it was to me until Kobe was born. And I felt like, oh my gosh, like I'm losing my personal space.
Yeah.
I'm not just saying because of Kobe, but I think it's more to like, you devote your time in business, in family, every aspect of your life, except for yourself. And I felt a little bit out of balance.
Yeah.
And that's when I tried to, okay, you know what do I need to do? And that's when I started my whole wellness, spiritual journey, whatever you call it. I started reading. It's so weird. 5 years ago, I go to the bookstore, I buy business books. Now I buy spiritual, mental books. It's so weird. Yeah. And
I don't think it's weird.
I don't know why. So
I don't think it's weird. It's
I'm
just
trying to like, oh, this is the new me. Okay, cool. Hi.
yeah, you're evolving.
Yeah. And I journal in the morning because I dream a lot, dump all my thoughts. I meditate. I learn Reiki. I go for sound healing once a month. I go for acupuncture. I play tennis. I have to sweat it out. And every time after I do all of this and establish a very positive routine, it makes me feel so good. And that's when I feel like, okay, you know what? I have the capacity to give, and when I'm being my best self. Does that make sense? But
Absolutely.
because I just don't think that, you can go from 0 to 100 all the time. Like even a car needs to go to the service center. You still need to, refuel. But what about human being? And that's when I realized that, like right now, what is my priority and what is the industry that I'm so interested in venturing in? And to me, it's definitely something to do with wellness. Like, I even buy crystals. 5 years ago, I would have think that this girl is like, I think you're a little bit too, I don't know, like crazy
Hokey?
Yeah, like I buy crystals, like what the heck?
I love it.
Yeah, so yeah, that's the new shift, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kim, thank you so much for your time. That was inspiring. I find you very, very inspiring. I find you very human, which is, I think, the best compliment for another person.
Thank you.
You're very human. And I love that about you because you're so aware of the basic and the fundamental of what it is to be a human being, regardless whether you have multiple businesses. But I think you remember the human elements. You want the best for your team and you want them to succeed. And that's teaching us a lot of stuff today. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much. I enjoyed this conversation a lot.
Let's hope we have another conversation when you're on that cover of Forbes.
Okay. Let's manifest.
Yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Thank you for tuning in to Business on the Rise. Don't forget to follow us and subscribe to our YouTube channel.